I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. I watch this. I call him, I think he is a scholar, Fareed Zakaria. Boy, he's a Punjab. That's it. He's from over there in India. I don't know if this Punjab is a racial slur. I pray it isn't, because I don't mean the racial slur is call him a Punjab, but that's a segment of the Indian society. If you're over there in India, over there in Calcutta, Bombay, they got a new city over there now. I forgot the Miramar. So he's pretty smart. So I watch his programs because, like these other people who have their biased programs about politics and one thing after the other, sexual preferences and this, that, and the other, and all that kind of stuff. It's basically about systems and dramatics of humanity itself without racism or prejudice. So he had this fellow on the other day, David Brooks, who has just written a book called How to Be a Better Person. And one of the reasons why I'm going to, let you view this is because, Elizabeth made note of the fact that I've taught some of the things myself, because these are universal principles that are true. They're just principles that are universal, that if you employ them, you're going to succeed. I don't care what color you are. I think one of the problems that people have with me, they don't understand, is that they think that I need somebody to have pity on me because of my skin color and give me an affirmative action pass because of my skin color. That's the first thing from my mind. They're principles that have no racial context to them. If you employ the principles, whether you black, white, or chartreuse, they're going to work. In the midst of slavery, in the midst of listen, I became a school teacher while working on the chain gang in Florida, and led my prison guard to the Lord Jesus Christ to become a preacher and a pastor. The principles work no matter where you are. You may be in prison on chain gang. But if you employ the principle, that's running around here talking Black Lives Matter, the devil done found a way to hook, line, and sinker y'all into hell without you opening your eyes on your way there. The principles that build for a powerful life. And that's one of the reasons people don't like me, because the principles require ethics of you. It requires discipline of you. It requires hard work. It requires honesty and truth from you. And Hamite people, anyway, Mr. Engineer, go ahead and let us listen to the clip.
Well, a few years ago, the New York Times columnist David Brooks set out to learn how to really understand another human being. He has useful lessons in this new book, How to Know a Person, the art of seeing others deeply and being deeply seen. David, welcome. As always, what you write is fascinating. Everyone says they want to do this. Everyone says, oh, you need to understand the Trump voter, and, but it's actually quite hard, right?
Yeah. Well, I wrote this book that I thought I would try to be a better person, a better human being. And we live in such bitter times, such polarized times. So many people feel invisible. And so I thought the only way to effectively and aggressively defeat that was by understanding other people and making them feel seen, heard, and understood. And that's part of it, is just being open-hearted. But you also need skills. And these are basic social skills, like how to listen well, how to debate well, how to disagree well, how to host a dinner party so everybody feels included, how to sit with somebody who's suffering from depression, how to break up with somebody without crushing their heart. And these are just basic social skills. And I didn't know them. And I'm reasonably educated. I should know how to do this stuff. But I was a social idiot. And so I spent the 4 years learning, how do I do these skills? And in the book, I just try to walk people from the first second we gaze at each other to arguing across political difference.
What's striking to me is what you're doing is really reminding us that all the education we get tends to be about our intellectual intelligence, not our emotional intelligence. Yeah. And then when I think about what AI is going to do to us, AI is going to be better at our intellectual, analytical intelligence, and we're going to have to rely more and more on our emotional intelligence, yeah. And yet we are less and less equipped for it.
Yeah, I think AI will reveal what a human is by revealing what it can't do. So when I meet you for the first time, We only understand what's going on in the other person's mind on our first conversation 20% of the time. We just don't know. But one thing I can do is when I'm meeting you is I can give you a gaze that says, you're a person to me, you're a priority to me. And so much is in that first gaze. So I tell the story in the book. I'm having a breakfast with a lady named LaRue Dorsey in Waco, Texas. And she presents herself to me as a strict disciplinarian. She's a tough lady. I'm a little scared of her. Into the diner walks a guy named Jimmy Durrell, a mutual friend of ours. And he says, Mrs. Dorsey, you're the best, I love you, I love you. And she turns into a strict disciplinarian. She's suddenly a bright, eye-shining 9-year-old girl. The power of your gaze, of your attention to change somebody. And the key thing for Jimmy is he's a pastor. And so when he sees somebody, he sees a person made in the image of God. He sees someone with a soul of infinite value and dignity. And you could be Christian or Jewish or atheist or agnostic, but seeing every person you meet with that level of respect and reverence is an absolute precondition for
for just 1 second. Now that Brooks is making that point. Since I saved and been doing ministry, I've made the statement, and Elder, the generous servant Hartfield would validate it were he here to do so. I've never met a man that I could not believe in. I met a whole lot of people that are crazy as all outdoors, obviously. I met a lot of people, probably if I get an opportunity, I'd kill them. But on first blush, I have never met anyone that I could not believe in. And the reason why that's important, as David Brooks is pointing out, is because, first of all, I see people as a human being created in the image and likeness of God. Now, you may be white, you may be black, and you may be chartreuse. I don't know what. That's not my first My first impression of any human being is that you're made in the image and likeness of God. Now, you could be Jeffrey Dahmer, like to eat people's flesh, kill people, and then they eat their flesh. I don't know. It could be a whole lot of people that it could be John Gotti. It could be a whole lot of folk that are evil. But upon meeting people, I give everybody the opportunity to be a human being. And that's been a controlling part of my life for years. Go ahead, Ms. Engineer.
Them well. You have to extend that basic level of respect to every person you meet.
What do you think is the biggest obstacle to because some of what you're saying seems obvious and easy. What is it that prevents us?
We're not as good at conversation as we think we are. And so having a conversation where I really can begin to see the world from your point of view, how do I do that? Again, it's skills. And so I list a bunch of the ways to do this in the book. For example, treat attention as an on-off switch, not a dimmer. If we're talking, I'm going to be 100% committed to you. I'm not going to have my phone and do 60%. Don't be a topper. If you tell me, I had this terrible flight, I was on the tarmac for 6 hours waiting, then I'm going to say, I know what you're going through. I was on the tarmac for 8 hours. Yeah. And it sounds like I'm trying to relate, but really what I'm trying to do is let's stop talking about you, let's talk about me and my superior circumstances.
So the ego is very important here. It's like letting go of the ego.
It's a moral act. Attention is a moral act. It's the ultimate generous act. And a lot of people we don't, I've come to discern that only about 30 or 40% of the people I meet are question askers. The rest are perfectly nice. They're just not curious about you. They don't ask questions. And so the quality of your questions determines the quality of your conversation. And so we should be asking bigger questions. And some of them, when I get to know someone, it's like, where are you from? Then as I get to know him better, it might be something a little, fun, like tell me your favorite unimportant thing about you. And so I learned from academic that he loves to watch a lot of trashy reality TV show. But then as we really get to know each other, if I'm really going to get to know him, I want to ask you big questions. If this 5 years in your life is a chapter, what's the chapter about? What talent do you have that you're no longer using? What crossroads are you at? And then you can really drill down. You can have a great conversation just exploring the answers. And you will leave with a sense of human connection. But you also learn about human nature and learn about the world. It's just a more fun way to go in the world. But you have to have the questioning skills to really get inside somebody else's brain.
This is a warm and wonderful book. David Brooks, a real honor to have you on.
Great to be with you again.
All right, so that segment I thought would be a good segment for us. And asking question is it really is it's an art and a science in terms of even question. One of the things I do theologically is I question it's called, if you will, exegesis, but you question the context. You question the literary, you question the chronological parts of what you're doing in terms of scripture reading.